Attitudes.
Excuse me, Pat. I just want to make sure, when are you going to go over the different age groups, like on the lineouts? Is that farther in the presentation?
When we talk about different, when we talk about the particulars, that's when we'll go through that stuff. This is rugby. What we, as a new sport, are lucky with is that, again, in the beginning, parents don't necessarily know what the rules are, so they're quiet. The way to keep them quiet is for the coaches to keep quiet, other than encouraging, and setting whatever example is the appropriate example. If the referee makes a, I'm in the tournament, and player gets tagged, I thought the player was getting tagged. I made the mistake, and this is something that referees will do at times. I'm anticipating the tag, so I'm calling it before it actually happens. And what happened was the ball carrier, just as the contact was making, did a sidestep, stayed clear. I already called the tag. The two coaches on the sidelines of that player, the ball carrier, who's 3 yards away, suddenly start screaming at me that it's not a tag. I'm sorry, first thing I do is blow the whistle, turn around, and I said, okay, that's not going to happen again. First of all, one of those coaches is a referee. He knows better. Second of all, oh my God, I made a bad call. Everybody's going to make a bad call. I'm going to make, my suggestion is, and especially you PAX guys, because there's 10 of you here, every coach needs to referee at least a match or two so they can have some empathy for what the referee has to do. Because I swear to God, and I'm going to say the coach who's a referee is an anomaly. Most coaches who are refereed have a little more empathy for the referee and will be quiet when there are mistakes made because they've been there, they've done that.
Do we know the code?
It's just plain going to happen. Coaches don't get to yell at the parents, and Krista over here is one of my parents. She'll tell you I already told my parents at our first practice that they will not yell at the referee. So don't care what you think, you're not going to do that. If you feel you need to talk to somebody, you come to me and talk to me on the sidelines. If I have questions, I'll go at the end of the period. I will not criticize. I might make observations, and I'll tell you this, some of the observations was errors that they made for my team. Against my team. Let me explain how that worked out. The other team had the ball in end goal, the scoring side for them. They got tagged, they touched it down, the referee called a try. It's not a try, it's a 5-meter because it's held in end goal. Points against me. I don't say anything when it comes to the end of the period. I explain to the referee, listen, when that happens, what it needs to be is a held, it's a 5-yard scrum. The referee said, oh, I'm sorry, I'll make it up to you. and you can laugh, but I've seen it at a tournament, I'm going to say quite a few years ago. But the situation happened, and I explained, and this was a score for my team, and I explained to him that was done wrong, let's not do that again. And he constantly, I forget whether it was he kept calling penalties against us or he kept ignoring penalties for the other team until they scored the first try to do a makeup. It just doesn't work that way. If you make a mistake, just realize what it is and then do it right from then on. Don't try to make it up. It's not a clean way to do it, and that's rugby, just like it is any other sport. Kids don't get the trash talk. They don't get the taunt. I had at least one time when the ball carrier is getting to the line and he has the ball and sticks it in the face of the opposition player just before he reaches to touch it down. As soon as he does that, penalty to the other team, no try. It's just not going to be tolerated. You guys can't tolerate that. You as coaches, I'm going to say, should be embarrassed and taking kids off the field if they're doing that. There's just no place in rugby. They need to learn that in the tag game before they get to the tag game.
And Pat, can I just go on that? We try to make sure that we coach that way and everything else. We actually ask our parents to talk to us as opposed to
Yes,
saying anything on the field.
absolutely.
But a good point was, I think it was, actually, I don't think it was last year's tournament, I think it was 2 years ago. We actually had a player, actually, I think it might have been one of the coach's sons, but he got down, he started celebrating, no, it wasn't the coach's son, but he celebrated before he got the try. And I have to actually tell you that I was so happy the ref called it not a try, because it put him back, kind of set him back, and actually
Right.
taught him a lesson. I was embarrassed that he actually did it, and I was very happy. And it's, let's do it at the beginning of the season, so when we go to the tournament, we're not running into anything like that.
Right, and it even needs to be done in your scrimmages. I'll have kids do that in the scrimmage, right, because every other sport you get to do it. And I'm playing, but I'm also the referee. If they do that, penalty. And I explain to them right then and there. I've had times where I'd make a call, and the kid who thinks he's comfortable with me because I'm the coach, he questions it, penalty right then and there. And I explain to him right there in the scrimmage field, and I say it loud enough for everybody, what the referee calls is what's going to happen. Don't want to hear anything else. Doesn't matter whether I'm the ref or whether someone else is the ref. You guys and gals are going to have to learn this right now. And you need to enforce that from the beginning, and you need to, again, enforce it with the parents. Be fair and helpful on both sides. Our challenge is going to be that during the regular season, a lot of us are going to be refereeing our own matches. You have to be fair to both sides. I'm proud to say that when I've refereed, my parents have complained that, not recently, but earlier, my parents have complained that I give the other team longer to pass the ball than I give my own kids.
Yep.
Probably the other side disagrees. What I'll say is, if both sides are complaining about the same thing, then you probably have it just about right. Communicate and explain. When there's a penalty, try to explain what happened again loud enough so that the sidelines understands what's going on. If you're new, part of the good thing about that is that if you have an experienced coach or referee on the sidelines and he hears what you're explaining and maybe it's not quite right, then he can come to you at the end of the period and talk you through that for the next one. And it's all communications teaches everybody the game, and everybody gets to play the game better. You can have so many times on the sidelines they're going to ask what happened, and if you show that it's a knock on, or you show that it's a forward pass, or that we're going to do a scrum and who puts the ball in, then they get to settle down, because now they know what's happening next. And parents are going, what's happening now? What's happening now? Well, start with the communication, then the parent next to that new parent can say, okay, here's what's happening, here's probably what happened, and stuff like that. Next slide, please. Counties and I included in the presentation, we got enough stuff to do. For U14, if you have a soccer-sized field between 70 yards, go at it. Most of our fields, a lot of times, are going to be football fields because that's what's available. But please recognize by the time it's tournament time, it's very possible your fields are going to be 70 yards wide, so try to recognize that, and when you're doing your coaching with the kids and plays and stuff like that, work with that. If you're doing U11, my suggestion is that you reduce the sidelines. When I do U11, basically I take the field is where the 15 is. On the touch lines, you have to throw the ball in 5 yards, and the line out can be from 5 to 15 yards away from the touch line. I make for U11 the sidelines where the 15 yards is, so basically I've taken 30 yards away. And the 22 for U14, we'll make that the try line for the U11. It equalizes play. First of all, the kids don't have to run as far, and let's face it, if it's 95 degrees weather like it has been already, what we want is for the kids to be able to play the game and score tries, which is their celebration. And again, you have that one player that can streak 40 yards, well, fine. My experience is they can get the ball with all the defense in front of them and just run 30 yards wide and turn the corner, What we want is for them to learn how to play rugby, so if you narrow the field in for that younger player, that's good. Now they have to start playing rugby because the defense doesn't have so much space that they have to work with. U15's number 4 ball works well, which is what this is. And surprisingly, it's not that much difference than a number 5. Sometimes I have trouble differentiating between the two. For 5 and 6 years old, gets them number 3s. Easier for them to get their hands around, easier for them to make passes, and not so much intimidating when you pop the ball to them for them to try to catch. Instead of them going like this, maybe they actually catch the ball.